Assalamualaikum. This is Sadia Jalali with Muslim Bliss. Just wanted to talk to you guys today. I know it's been a really difficult 24, 48 hours for our community. I think we're all still sort of reeling from everything, the tragic events that happened in New Zealand. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about the stages of grief, to know what the things that you're experiencing, maybe to normalize them, to know what else to expect, and just talk a little bit about how to get through it. This is such a trying time for their community and what the tragedies that families have been facing. But our collective community, as we know in our ummah, right, when one part of our body hurts, we hurt with them, and we really do feel for them. So, inshallah, just wanted to talk a little bit today about what you might be feeling and try to normalize it a little bit. So, there are typically several different stages of grief that people, some say five, some say six, some say seven. So, I'm going to typically go over about the five that I think most talk about. And the first one we've kind of probably already gone through, which is shock and denial. Just the shock of hearing the news. When I had went to bed, the night before last, there were 9 victims, and then I woke up and there were 49 victims, and it's just unbelievable. There's almost a denial that's like that I can't be reading this correctly. This can't actually be true. Women, men, women, children in a masjid, right? A house of worship is considered to be a sacred space. You go there to connect with your creator. You go there to worship. You go there for peace and solace. And it's truly unthinkable, right? So there's just like almost like this denial that this couldn't be possible. Another stage is the idea of bargaining. And bargaining kind of looks like, if more people were armed or if our masjids were covered with guards, maybe this wouldn't happen. Or if, the political rhetoric, maybe this, so you kind of have like, if this and, maybe we could have avoided and maybe we could have, so you kind of go through this whole process. And there's value in that in terms of, sure, preparation for anything or finding root causes for something, but honestly, when it's something so senseless, it's trying to make sense of something that's senseless. So it's so difficult to try to wrap your head around what would actually cause someone to do this. And again, some of the causes and roots are great to analyze, but we're not there. We're still grieving, we're mourning, we're hurting. And so allow yourself to feel those things before you sort of, I think sometimes in our community we have the tendency to move to action and we avoid what we're feeling. I really highly encourage you to allow yourself to feel whatever it is you're feeling. I have found myself over 2 days stepping away or looking away from my children to wipe a tear away. I would maybe scroll on my feed and see a beautiful face of a soul taken, in this tragic way. And it would just overwhelm me with grief, what their family must be going through, just how this community is dealing with the losses. It is, we're putting faces on these victims now, and it's tough. So let yourself feel that. I'm trying to not let myself. So it's again, one of the things I want to say is you have to find a balance. When news like this comes out, you want to know everything about it, and understandably so. I do want to honor these victims. I do want to know their lives, and I want to know, and I want to make dua for them. But I knew that I needed to step away, and I have to find a balance of disconnecting from this. You can get engrossed in these details and in the stories, and when that happens, that you get truly overwhelmed. And so I do think you have to find space to also know yourself and disconnect sometimes. And so finding the balance of informing yourself but also disconnecting and sparing your mental health and your wellness. The next step is also anger. You get so angry that again, this political rhetoric, when you do start coming through as to what the root causes of these things are, generally speaking, white supremacy, generally speaking, somebody who feels that they have the right to harm people in this abhorrent way, you just get so angry. Why couldn't this just not happen, and you'll go through those phases. You'll talk to Allah about it. You'll ask him, like what happened? How did this tragedy happen? And it's one of those things, we have to, our faith, we rely on our faith. We rely on that every soul shall taste death, and we know that. And then you realize that Allah elevated these people to die in the best of ways, as difficult as that is to see, in the sense that they were in his home. They were in a state of wudu. They were in at salah. The last few words on their mouths must have been dhikr of Allah, and what better way to to leave this world and enter another world than praising your Lord. So on one hand, you have to kind of hang on to what you can hang on to when someone goes through something so tragic like this, and make dua for them, pray for their maghfirah, for their families, pray that they are accepted as shaheed, and that their communities recover and heal from this. You also go into depression, and again, these stages don't have to go in order. You could have felt one first and felt one next, and there are different different ways people kind of go through them, but depression is one of them. You feel very, just painfully, deeply sad. You might have trouble, doing things, losing interest in things. You might want to isolate, and this is the worst time to do that. Do your best to reach out and connect. Okay. One of the things that makes you feel not so alone and isolated is when you realize there are a lot of beautiful souls out there that are grieving with you and hurt with you, and they love you and they care for you. I was at a masjid last night, and two beautiful non-Muslim women had come by with some flowers to the masjid, and one of them had tears in her eyes and just kept saying, we just didn't know what else to do. We just wanted to show you that we're here and we support you. It was the most beautiful gesture, so genuine and authentic. So reach out and connect to your own mourning, friends that are mourning and family members, grieve together as a community, and just check in on each other. I think it's very, very important to try. It's okay to isolate a little bit. Of course, we all need our time to mourn and grieve, but try to also, when it becomes many days of that, try to push yourself to reach out and connect, inshallah. And the last stage of grief is the idea of the acceptance. And it's accepting something so heinous is very difficult. Accepting something so tragic is really hard. Any death, any any loss, it's very hard to accept. But when you do get to that point, it is easier to manage. It's easier to get through. So you're trying to work towards getting to that acceptance. And again, everybody goes through these stages in different ways, but the idea is that you can process and accept that this is the way this was written, that you work through all the things about it and make peace with it within yourself, right? And, just to talk a little bit more about some other things to try to stay and just take care of your mental health at this time, feel empowered to do something good. There's a lot of research on, getting yourself out of a depressive state is to serve others and to help others. See if you can do that. Even again, if it's in the sense of checking in with people, go help somebody, go relieve someone, that's something that can be very, very helpful. Don't feel like you have to do everything. You don't have to be everywhere. You don't have to do anything, right? That's one thing, know yourself, but push yourself a little bit, that just to know that it'll make you feel better, inshallah. Focus on what is going okay. Sometimes you have to zoom in a little bit and look at your own sort of like little wins throughout the day. Maybe something went smoother and easier for you that day, and you kind of hang on to that. And just be grateful for whatever happened easier for you that day. You see Allah's mercy throughout the day, and that can help a lot to get through such difficult times. Like I said, I saw these women come by, and their gesture with bringing flowers to our masjid was just such a beautiful thing for me that, again, it got me by of a day, a really difficult mental day yesterday. The last thing I'll say is stay spiritually connected and grounded. This is when we have to hold so fast to our connection to Allah, to our connection to our Creator. We have to beg Him and plead with Him to have mercy on us and have mercy on the people that are hurting right now. Heal the people and the families and these communities that are aching. And we just have to hang on so tight to our connection to our Creator. It grounds us. It fills us up. When something doesn't make sense, we ask Allah to help us through it. We ask His wisdom, to help us understand, help us get through it, help us know what to do to help others, right? So stay spiritually connected and grounded, increase your dhikr, your prayer, go back to the Quran to understand, just life, get perspective. So Inshallah, I just wanted to mention a few things. I know this has been incredibly difficult on all of us. May Allah bless the departed souls. May Allah bless their families, and help them heal. May Allah protect our entire ummah, our communities, our children, and keep them safe. In regards to our children, the only thing that I would add is, temper what you're letting them see and hear, especially age appropriately. They don't need to know all these details. They don't need to see everything. They need a lot of reassurance right now. They need to know that we do everything we can to protect and keep them safe. They need to know that our communities, there's really great people out there supporting us. We have a lot of allies. So when they see you managing and using the tips I talked about earlier, inshallah, they will be able to manage their own feelings about it. It is important to talk to them in some way. It's not good to completely ignore and pretend, again, age appropriately. If they haven't heard of it and they have been spared of it and they're very young, yes, no need to get into any details. If they're older and they've been hearing things anyway, allow them an opportunity and a space to ask questions, age appropriately answer with whatever details you'd like. The wonderful thing about children is, mashallah, they're resilient. And the second thing is that they take answers. So if you answer their question, typically they will accept that answer. So, inshallah, may Allah make it easy on all of us. May He heal our community and our aching hearts, and may He protect our ummah from all evil. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum.